bogus pretenders. And as you know, Srila Narayan Maharaj recently published his Hindi Bhagavad Gita, and that Hindi Bhagavad Gita is from the original that I believe came from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bhagavad Gita, which he published with Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur's commentaries and some of his own translations. And now Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is again manifested in Srila Gurudeva, who's presenting the Bhagavad Gita first for the Hindi-speaking world, and now it'll be for the Western world. And he also is very famous for discovering the appearance place of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. While he was working for the government, he wanted to move to Navadvip, but they wouldn't give him a transfer there. So he resigned, and they refused to accept his resignation, and they kept him in the service and transferred him. And then he lived just about 25 miles, I think, from Navadvip. And then later he lived in Godrumdvip, and he became more and more serious about discovering Lord Chaitanya's birthplace for the benefit of the world. So he began to make inquiries, because he was finding that the place where he was, Navadvip, was just 100 years old. So it couldn't have been the real Navadvip. So he did inquiry to see where the real place of Lord Chaitanya's birth was. And some people told him that, well, now it's lost under the Ganges because of the change of the flow of the Ganges. But he wasn't satisfied with that. So from his own place, his own abode in Godrumadvip, he saw, after doing inquiries and finding out about one place on the Mayapur side, and very carefully studying ancient maps and speaking to advanced devotees there, they found that there was some piece of land where only tulsis could grow and nothing else could grow, and this was now under the ownership of Muslims. And he was becoming more and more convinced that this was the right place. And then from his abode he saw an effulgent light coming from across the river, and then he had a vision that Lord Chaitanya and his Sankirtan party was actually also there in the effulgence. So he later on he brought Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, his Guru Maharaj, to the spot in a basket. He was so old, and he couldn't even see. His eyelids were drooping over his eyes, and he couldn't open them. But when he arrived at the place, he jumped way up in the air, even though previously he couldn't even walk. And this confirmed that it was the right place. And later on, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself went door to door to establish a temple there at the Yogapeeth. I think the Gaura Vishnupriya temple. And there was one newspaper called Amrita Bazar Patrika, which put out an article that now Baba Kedarnath Datta might be coming to your door, trying to collect 1 or 2 rupees from each person for this temple. So any sincere gentleman should give him something. And that way, practically single-handedly, he collected the money for the temple and established the temple. And of course we know he wrote so many wonderful books like Kalyana Kalpatru, with the Sharanagati prayers and Gitavali prayers, which gives the same siddhantas as the scriptures, but in simple Bengali language and in the first person, the I mode, so that the reader, us, we conditioned souls, can relate to our own fallen position, understand our present condition, and at the same time understand how to become free from it by praying in ways that he expresses on our behalf. So I don't want to take up more time because I'm sure other devotees would like to speak. Thank you. Thank you.
Navin Krishna Brahmachari will speak something.
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Sakti Sarupaya Rupanugavadayate Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhayeva Patitanang Pavanebho Vaishnavebho Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I convey my humble Dandavat Pranam, Lotus feet of Guru Maharaj. After that, all Vaishnavas who assemble here to hear the glory of Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Gurudeva Pandit Goswami. As before, you have heard from Pujyapat Bhaisar Prabhu and Pujyapat Samrani Didi. They explained so many things about Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which you have heard from my Gurudev. I try to explain. If there is any mistake, please excuse me. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained in his Jaiva Dharma from top to bottom of sadhan, how one devotee can progress in sadhan life. He explained everything in Jaiva Dharma. If anyone wants to progress in Krishna consciousness, he has to go through Jaiva Dharma. Then easily he can enter in realm of Krishna. At first he explained in Jaiva Dharma first chapter the eternal Sarup, the constitutional form of Jiva. Jiva is the eternal servant of Supreme God, but he forget due to Maya that he is servant of Krishna. Just like give an example, water come in contracts of too cold, it become ice. The religion of water is liquidancy, but baraf, that means ice, is not liquid, is too hard. That's the same way. The religion of Jeev is to service of God, but he forget, he thought that I am enjoyer of this material world. And the Sarup of Jeev he explained in Jaiva Dharma. The origin of Jeev comes from Baladev Prabhu, Sankarsan and Karnadok Sai Vishnu. Who came from Baladev Prabhu? They are eternal associates of Supreme Personality Godhead Krishna in Braj. They are always engaged in Krishna service. They have no time to inquire that there is a material world and Jeev is suffering there quite a lot. And second kind of Jeev, they came from Sankarsan. They are also eternal associates of innumerable Vaikuntha. That means associates of Narayan, Vaman, Nrsimha, Ramchandra, etc., etc. They also engage so much, they have no time to inquire about material world that Jeeves are suffering here. Both of them are called associates. The eternal associates of Braj and eternal associates of Vaikuntha. And third kind of Jeev came from Karnadok Sai Vishnu. Some of them, they went according to their position. Some went Vaikuntha, some Ajodhya, some Dwaraka, some Mathura, some Braj. And he who want to enjoy this material world, they entangled in Maya. And Maya binds them with three kinds of chains. One is called mode of ignorance, mode of passion, and mode of goodness. And he is thinking, I am injured, and this suffering coming here. Then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining how Jeev can attain Krishna service. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives his solution. If they take shelter of bona fide Gurudev and under guidance of Vaishnava and bona fide Gurudev, they can serve Krishna. And Prahlad Maharaj explained the same thing, that Guru Sushrusaya Bhakta Sarvalabharpanena cha Sangena Sadhu Bhaktanam Ishwaradhanena cha. We have to respect Vaishnava. Under guidance of Vaishnava, we have to take shelter of bona fide Gurudev. And we have to offer everything, our heart and soul. Gurudev always explained that I want only your heart. That means we have to offer everything and we have to do everything for his pleasure. If we do everything for pleasure of bona fide Gurudev, then we can do everything for pleasure of Krishna, Sri Krishna Chandra. And Srila Bhakti Thakur explained at last, who is Gaudiya Sadhak, that means who came in line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After his perfection, his soul divided into two. By one, he will serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Navadvip Dham, and by another, he will serve Brajanandan Samsundar in Braj. His main teachings in Dasamula Shiksha, that means 10 fundamental instructions. All instructions Bhakti Thakur put in one slok. Amnaya praha tattam harimya paramam sarvasaktim rasabdhim tad bhinnang sansta jivan prakritika valitam tad vimuktanscha bhavat bheda bheda prakasam sakalopi sadhanam suddha bhaktim sadham tad pratim puddhasati janan gaurachandra sayansa. One Praman and 9 Prameya. Amnaya means that which we get from Guru Parampara. There is so many things in Vedas and Upanishads. None can go easily, none can enter in Vedas very easily. So we have to go through Guru Parampara. Which advice adopted by our Guru Parampara, we have respect them. It is called Amnaya. What Amnaya shows? What Amnaya proves? There are 9 things he proves. What? Tattam Harimya Paramam. Krishna is supreme theory. Hari is supreme theory. Who is this Hari? Srimad Bhagavat. The Chakravarti Thakur told, Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam. So in Bhagavatam, Ete Chang Sakala Pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Sayam. Supreme Personality Godhead is saying Bhagavan, is Hari. Harihi Paramatattam. And Sarva Shaktim Rasabdhim. He is omnipotent. And Rasabdhim, ocean of Ras. Krishna is ocean of Ras. I hope that a devotee know all these things, that Krishna is ocean of Ras, because you can see that one very little book, Krishna is ocean of Ras, in English our book Chabul, compiled by the Gurudev, and is translated to French language also. So no need to explain this point. Rasabdhin, that there is 5 prominent ras and 7 secondary ras. Santa, Dasa, Hasa, Santa, Dasa, Sakha, Vatsalya, Madhur, these 5 are prominent, and Hasa, Karun, Rudra, Bhayanath, Vibhasa. These 7 are secondary ras. Krishna is ocean of all ras. Srimad Bhagavatam explain it in one slok, Mallanam Asaninam Naravarastiram Smaramurtiman, in this slok. So, Hari Param Tattam Sarva Shaktim Rasabdhim Tad Bhinnang Sangscha Prakritika Valitan. Jeev is part and particle. This jeev is 2 types. One is liberated soul, another is conditioned soul. And they are simultaneously different and non-different from God. That Vedavada Prakasam means not only for jeev, that means potency and Shaktiman, that Almighty, they are simultaneously different and non-different. Sakalvati Sadhanam, Hare Suddha Bhakti. What is sadhan? Sadhan means by which means we can attain service of Krishna. It is called Suddha Bhakti. That means pure devotion. Prabhupada Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur explained it in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita commentary. Suddha Bhakti means pure devotee means, pure devotion means spontaneous devotion. So Sadhanam Suddha Bhakti. There is two types of devotion, regulative devotion and continuous devotion, spontaneous devotion. Krishna may be pleased by regulative devotion, but none can control Krishna by regulative devotion. So Srila Prabhupada Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur explained that pure devotion means Raganuga Bhakti. So Sadhanam Suddha Bhakti. And Sadha, what is the destination? Tat Priti Vekattu Bodhisati. Tat Priti. Tat means, in this world there is three things, two things. One is called Tat Padartha and Tan Padartha. Srila Gurudeva explained day before yesterday. Tat means Krishna. That means the pleasure of Krishna is our supreme goal. Tat Priti. Then Srila Gurudeva explained so many things about his pleasure, Krishna's pleasure. It must be please Krishna and it will be very testable for Krishna. Like us, Gurudeva given an example that Mother Jasoda twisting Krishna's ears, and Krishna want to take her breast, but Mother Jasoda shall sit down here. By one hand he take Krishna and by force he put back to Krishna on the floor. Krishna began to eat. Being Supreme Personality Godhead, he could not do anything because due to love of Mother Jasoda. Krishna is weeping here. In another hand, Chanur and Mustik, Krishna wrestling with them, and Krishna is very happy and testing heroism. But it is not pure devotion. Why not? All activity of Mother Jasoda for welfare of Krishna. Krishna is weeping here, but Jasoda's inner mood is to please Krishna. How Krishna will be very good boy in future. Jasoda is ever well-wisher of Krishna, but Chanur Mustik, they fight wrestle with Krishna, but the inner mood how to smash Krishna. So it is not bhakti. So Priti, hearing during wrestling with Chanur and Mustik, Krishna became very happy and testing heroism. Here it is not bhakti. Another hand, the Jasoda make weep to Krishna, yet it is Uttama bhakti. The Sadham Tat Pritim, Epadasani Janan Gaurachandra Sayansa, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught all this theory for whole world. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur mercifully taken all these things and make a garland in one slok. This is the best contribution of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And another thing, the contribution of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he discovered Navadvip Dham. And another, he discovered Prabhupada Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur. If Bhaktivinoda Thakur not come in that time, none can know that where is Navadvip Dham. What is the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Taking the help of Srila Jagannath Dasji Maharaj and taking old map from London National Library, and he proves that this is the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he discovered and present the whole world Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur. Today you are seeing that a very big preaching is going on. Who is the origin of this preaching theory? Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur present Srila Prabhupada in this world. And he preached Namhatta. That people can assemble somewhere time to time and they can discuss so many things. about devotee, devotion and God. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur taught all these things for devotee. So he has so many things, and he composed so many things in his literature, in his Chaitanya Charitamritam, in his commentary, Amrit Prabha Bhasya. He told so many things. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Grantha is so deep. Without commentary of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur or commentary of Srila Prabhupada, none can enter in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had done so many things, just like our 6 Goswamis. Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Jeev Goswami, Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Srila Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. He did same thing. So all Gaudiya Vaishnava give him title that Saptam Goswami, that means 7th Goswami. As before, after 6th Goswami, no one get this title, that 7th Goswami. And after that, up to date, no one is 8th Goswami. Gaudiya Vaishnava give him the title. So, another activity and teachings of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we shall hear from another Vaishnava. And everybody is want to hear about Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Gadadhar Pandit from Srila Lotus Feet of Srila Gurudeva. And that thing, that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ko Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Sarupaya Rupanuga Varayate. How he did so many things. Simultaneously, his eternal associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and same time eternal associates of divine couple. Namo Bhakti Vinodaya, who give pleasure to divine couple by devotion. So he is Bhakti Vinod. Satchidananda Namine, and he is like transcendental. Gaura Shakti Sarupaya, he is, who is Gaura Shakti, who is potency of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Gadadhar Pandit. He is manifestation of Gadadhar Pandit. So Gaura Shakti Sarupaya. Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Sarupaya Rupanuga Varayate. Rupanuga Varayate means, Varaya means Srashta. He is best among Rupanuga Vaishnava at his time. Rupanuga means the eternal associates of Krishna, they called Ragadmik. Iste sarasiki raga parama vishtata bhavet tanmaija bhavet bhakti sattva. With eternal associates, they have eternally affection for Krishna, they call Ragatmik. And who hearing activity of Ragatmik Jans, who have agreed to adopt these things, that friends are playing with Krishna, they are serving with Krishna, Mother Jashoda and Nanda Baba, Upananda Vinanda, they are serving Krishna, Gopis are serving Krishna. If anybody have agreed, hearing all these pastimes, and want to serve the same mood, they are following how to proceed this theory. They call Raganuga. That Ragatmika Manusrita Jasa Raganugachate. Who is following Ragatmik Jan? They call Raganuga. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is called Rupanuga Varayate. Among our 6 Goswamis, Rupa Goswami is best. So Rupa Goswami, he act in 2 forms. One is sadhak form, another is siddha form. Seva sadhaka rupena siddha rupena chatrahi tadbhava lipsuna karja prajaloka anusarata. Is performing all devotional activities as a Rupa Goswami and is serving divine couple as a Rupa Manjari. So who follow Rupa Goswami in externally and internally, both, they are called Rupanuga. They are following Rupa Goswami's all theory. by Sadhak Sarir and another by Siddha Sarir. So among of them, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is best in his time. So Rupanuga Varayate. So at first Agatmik, after that who follows Agatmik, they are Rupanuga. Among Rupanuga, who is followers of Srila Rupa Goswami, internally and externally, they are called Rupanuga. All Rupanuga are Raganuga, but all Raganuga is not Rupanuga. So after that, Srila Gurudev asking me to stop here. Everybody is facing towards Gurudev lotus face, so I don't want to take much time. All of you, Hare Krishna. Pancha kalpataru pascha kripa sindhu bhayevata parijanam bhavaneto.
The great Brahmachari will just say something.
ज्ञानानेन शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वञ्चाकल्पतरुश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि श्री गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे। I offer my most humble obeisances to the lotus feet of Srila Guru Maharaj, and I pay my proper respects to all the Vaishnava devotees who are present here, and especially at the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and pray so that I can offer Pushpanjali at his lotus feet to purify my own self, although I am fully incompetent to speak. Srila Gurudeva has mercifully ordered me, so I'll try to carry out the orders of Srila Gurudeva. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is among the most prominent acharyas of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. We know that when he appeared, at that time, Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya went through a very dark period. After the disappearance of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who was also at his time the most important acharya, and who very nicely exposed the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami, which were actually misunderstood by so many people. But again, due to the course of time, as Krishna says that this divine knowledge, though it is eternal, but it gets covered. It never finishes but gets covered. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I think about a difference of 100 years or 150 years after Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur he appeared. At that time, people in the society who belonged to good positions, educated people, they were actually hating to come near those who call themselves as Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Why? We heard from Shamrani Didi also that how they were actually on the name of being the devotees of Mahaprabhu, they were simply engaged in sense gratification and so many abominable activities that people would hate. So actually people were really feeling very bad about the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he saw all those things, he felt a lot of pain in his heart, and he took the responsibility to again bring about the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in such a way to all the people, so that they should understand that actually that there is nothing beyond than the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His teachings are so pure and they are full of love, and that's what everyone is looking for. So very nicely, one after another, he started printing and publishing the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which were given the form of books by Six Goswamis and other acharyas like Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and other literatures. And he himself also compiled very new books based on the same philosophy, but presented in such a way so that people at that time could understand. And Naveen Prabhuji very nicely explained about Jaiva Dharma. There's so many other books, teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and other things. So in those books, he presented the philosophy in such a sweet and comprehensive language that when they read these books, they started understanding that actually this philosophy is the best, and there's no other thing which could be taken as an alternative, and it's actually the fault of these people who are not able to understand, and they are spoiling the image. And not only this, his own life, he practiced those teachings. It wasn't just coming to tell people, but he followed those teachings. As we know, he is eternal associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So these things are present in him, but still he acted as a conditioned soul. In whole of his life, he followed the 4 ashrams very nicely, giving examples that how, being in this world, we can still carry out our material duties and we can achieve our spiritual goals. And he discovered the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and thus we know him as the Saptam Goswami, or the 7th Goswami in our line. Many nice stories how he preached the Namghatta program in Orissa, Bengal and all those areas, and started inspiring people to come together as we are doing now, that they can come together and discuss the teachings of Mahaprabhu and thus can benefit their lives. And though it's Kali Yuga and we're all suffering with so many miseries and troubles, and always the mind is in tension, but by following these teachings of Mahaprabhu, we can keep ourselves always peaceful and happy. And thus, not only this, we can also achieve the highest goal a living entity can achieve, and that is love of Godhead. There's nothing beyond that. We also know once Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was taken to heaven, and that was in regard to when all the demigods in the heaven, they were discussing on the verse of Bhagavad Gita, Apiche Suduracharo Bhajate Mamananivar Sadhurim Samantapya Samyak Vyavasito Hisa. So they could not understand that how Krishna is saying that even if you see faults in my devotee, do not criticize him, because by the dint of pure devotion, my bhakti, very soon he'll become purified. So they were not able to understand that what is the essence of this verse. So when they were very much confused and they were bewildered, so they were thinking what to do, and then they were told, I think, so they were told that now if they go to this earth, then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is present and he knows the real essence of this verse, and because he is a pure devotee and he is eternal associate. So they all came. Yeah. So then he was sleeping one night, and during his sleep, they took Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the heaven, and he was there for about 2 days, and very nicely he reconciled the whole verse, and all the demigods were so happy to hear that. And then he came back. So he preached not just in this earth planet, but he preached all over the heaven, and that is also said in one of the prayers, Mahaprabhu Gan Sabapatit Pavan Brahmanda Tarite Shakti Dhare Jane Jane. That the associate of Mahaprabhu, all the associates are so powerful that just by their one hand they can deliver the whole world. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was also capable. But mercifully they always keep something for other devotees to come and do some service for Mahaprabhu. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur very nicely did all these things, and we can speak endlessly on this, and I am too small and not knowing so much, so we'll request Srila Gurudev to speak on his wonderful life so that we can all benefit and learn. But I humbly pray at the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that he can always bestow upon us his causeless mercy, that we can understand his teachings and thus dedicate our lives with all this sincerity to follow the teachings of Mahaprabhu and please Srila Guru Maharaj, so that we can perfect our lives.
Bhakti Prabhu, and he will just say something.
Om Gyanatimirandasya Garanjana Shalakaya Chakshum Tunjana Tasmai Shri Gurudeva Holland. Before speaking, I'd like to offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my divine Diksha Guru, Srila Gurudeva Maharaj. Also, I'd like to offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Shiksha Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, and also unto the lotus feet of my Param Guru, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. So, devotees have been speaking very nicely and covering many topics regarding Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So, I would like to briefly just give a bit of a biographical sketch of the life of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Some years back I read a book which was put out by a devotee, Sriman Rupa Vilas, the seventh Goswami. So what I can recall from that, then I'll speak, and if there are whatever mistakes I make, please correct me so I don't send anybody astray. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he appeared in a village called Uliagram as Kedarnath Dat. It's explained that his parents, both mother and father, they came from very aristocratic stock. And from a very early age, he was always very interested in understanding the nature of the Lord, universe, spiritual subject matter. And he would always inquire, whether it be to, he explains that in his autobiography that there was one chokidar, kind of a watchman, who was a Ram Bhakta. In his early days he was a bit of a dacoit, but he was always chanting Ram. So Srila Bhakti Kedarnath would go and speak with him, hear stories of Lord Ramachandra. Even if he came in contact with Mohammedan fakir, Mohammedan holy man, he would also go, and he was very inquisitive to know. So in his youth, he was well educated. His parents sent him to a school in Krishna Nagar, where they had the children of the influential and affluential Bengali families. And he excelled in school, but due to sickness he had to go back to his village. And after some time, he was sent to Calcutta, where he went to college. And it's explained that at that time also he excelled, but also he became open to Christian theology, because there was some type of Christian school that he was studying at in Calcutta. And this inner quest to understand the absolute truth, that took shape in the form of reading Christian theology. And about the same time he came in contact with many intellectual people in Calcutta, both amongst the British Raj and also amongst the Bengali intelligentsia. Specifically, there's a family called the Tagore family. One of the Tagores, I think his name is Rabindranath Tagore. He was a Nobel Prize winner. And one of the relatives was a Rabindranath Tagore, who was a very close friend of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So, in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's autobiography, he explained that they were very close friends. But the Tagore family, they followed a particular philosophy called Brahmoism. And they tried to convince Kedarnath, but Kedarnath said that he was not so inclined towards this Brahmoism, because he, at that time, was more inclined to the teachings of Jesus Christ, because they were personal in nature, whereas Brahmoism was impersonalism. It was kind of, from what I can recollect, a kitchery of taking the Upanishads and different parts of the Vedas, the impersonalistic aspects, and dabbing that with a bit of Christianity, and they came up with Brahmanism. So it was explained that during that time, the British, in their way to dominate India, their policy was that whatever aspects of Indian culture, specifically the scriptures, religious rituals, that they would condemn and just put down as being pretty much hodgepodge. So, and also the young intellectual Indians that would come up in the system, they would train them to be English in mentality, even though physically they were Indian. So under such situation, then especially the Bengali intellectuals, they took to this Brahmanism, and it became very, very prevalent. But during this time, Kedarnath Dutt, he was not really so much attracted to this. So it's explained that he had to leave Calcutta because I think there was some sickness in the family or some kind of devastation in his village, and he had to take up taking care of his family, his mother. By this time he was a married man, so he had different jobs, and it explains how he had so many different jobs throughout his life. And at one point he came in contact with Vaishnav sadhus, and he got the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So he explains that reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, then immediately he could appreciate the sublime teachings and pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And at one point he said that in reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, the bhav very quickly arose in him. So after coming in contact with Vaishnava scriptures, he would always search out sadhus, and he became more and more absorbed in the Vaishnava teachings. So we can see that though Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's an eternal associate of the Lord, but the Lord, he used him in a particular way that, as has been mentioned earlier, that it is through him that the worldwide preaching has come about. So he, being the first Acharya in this way, he was educated in the Western system, and he had a very broad way of dealing with different religions. His approach was very non-sectarian, and this was so much appreciated by people of his time, that when there were disputes between the caste Hindus and those following Brahmanism or what have you, then they would call upon Kedarnath Dutt to try and resolve the situation, because everybody appreciated that he was a very learned, open and broad-minded person. This would sometimes backfire in the sense that in presenting the Vaishnava conclusion, then sometimes both parties would get annoyed with him, because he would not side with either but present the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, as has been explained also, after some time he resided in Jagannath Puri, and he held the post of deputy magistrate, which was the highest post that could be held by an indigenous citizen of the time. And he would take care of, he would oversee the worship of Lord Jagannath in the temple. And he explains that he experienced great bliss going daily to the temple of Lord Jagannath, taking darshan, and also he would have Bhagavad discourses, Bhagavad pravachan, in a particular part of the Jagannath temple. So one pastime that comes to mind is having these discourses. He would have the different Vaishnavas would come and they would sit down and discuss, and in another part there would be people discussing philosophy from an impersonal point of view. So I think it was in the Valuable Gardens that the discussions would go on. And one elderly Vaishnava, Babaji, he was not so much in favor of the devotees going to sit and speak with Kedarnath Das, because he's saying that he was not wearing neck beads, and he was not externally showing the symptoms of a Vaishnava. And he kind of started a bit of a boycott of the Kirtan. But I can't remember exactly, but one night in a dream, this devotee, he was actually a very exalted person, he became sick, and in a dream, he was chastised for his treating Kedarnath Das like this. So when he got up in the morning, immediately he ran over to where Bhaktivinoda Thakur was staying and he begged forgiveness. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he replied that, please forgive me, what is my fault for not wearing Kantimala? That Lord Mahaprabhu has not sent my Guru to me yet. So because of this, I'm not wearing, because the tradition, from what I can understand, is that the Guru will give the neck beads. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that this elderly Babaji then became very affectionate to Bhaktivinoda Thakur and would give him shelter. So in Jagannath Puri, he would associate with so many devotees. Then after that, he was posted to different places, but as been explained, he also was posted near Navadvip, and I believe close to the end of his manifest pastimes, then he stayed in a place which is in Jagannath Puri, near the Haridas Thakur Samadhi, where he wound up his lila. So I cannot remember much more. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, please take something.
ज्ञानतिमरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चित् आनन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुग्रहाय ते वञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृतसिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। Just offer my obeisances to the lotus feet of Srila Gurudeva and to all the Vaishnavas. So many things have already been explained about Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. There are, you can say, two tendencies in as far as misrepresentation of the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The one tendency is Sahajism, to take cheaply the teachings of Mahaprabhu. And there are so many different sects of Sahajism. At the time of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, there were 13 prominent sects of Sahajism. And they also make use of the literature of the Goswamis, especially Chaitanya Charitamrita and Ujjwal Nilmani and other books. And they will quote these books and try to establish that they can, in various ways, imitate the moods of the Lord's eternal associates in an unauthorized way. And the other tendency is to completely neglect the mood of spontaneous devotion following in the mood of the residents of Braj, and to reduce the teachings of Mahaprabhu simply to rules and regulations, the path of Vaidhi Marg. So, both of these tendencies will not allow us to actually capture the true essence of what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. And we find both in the personality of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his behavior, in his the example that he set, and especially in his voluminous writings, that he established the true conclusions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to dispel and eradicate both of these tendencies. If we simply examine the number of books written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it is astonishing. He wrote over 100 books, and he wrote in 6 different languages. He wrote in Sanskrit, Bengali, Hindi, English, Urdu, and Oriya. So this is an extraordinary feat. And in some years, he wrote as many as 6 different books. Some of them very large books. So it is quite extraordinary. And in those books, he presented many revolutionary concepts. He took the essence of the teachings of the 6 Goswamis and he presented them in a very extraordinary manner. Some of these things have already been described. Srila Naveen Prabhu gave a very nice description of Jaiva Dharma. So, and also of Dasamula, which is one of the most prominent concepts that we find throughout the books of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. There is one book, Bhagavad Arka Marichimala, in which the whole book is discussing this concept of Dasamula very elaborately. I won't describe it again because it's already been nicely described. I just wanted to add one thing, that this Dasamula, it is also further divided into the topics of Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. So, of the 9 prameyas, or the 9 fundamental principles which are established by the Praman or by the Shastra, the first 7 fall under the category of Sambandha Tattva, understanding one's relationship with the Lord. So, understanding different aspects of the Lord, His energies, and the living entities, and the interrelationship between all of these, all come under the category of Sambandha Gyan. So 7 of these 9 prameyas fall under that. Then the next one is Abhideya Tattva. So Abhideya Tattva refers to that process by which we can attain the goal of life. So this refers to the path of bhakti. And it refers specifically to bhakti beginning from, or in the stage of sadhana, beginning from shraddha up to the stage of asakti. And prayojan tattva, which is the 9th principle, refers to sadhya, the goal, or the goal to be obtained by bhakti. So this is including both bhav and prem. So in this book, he has described all these things, and I think it's at the very end of the book, he says that I must explain how the vision of this book came to me. He said, in one sense, I feel ashamed to admit it, because if I admit it, then some persons will think that I am proud. And yet on the other hand, if I don't admit it, then I will not be giving credit to the person from whom this revelation came. So he says that the revelation of this book came to him in a dream from Swarup Damodar Goswami. And he revealed to him how to summarize the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. This Bhagavad Arkamarichimala consists of approximately 300 shlokas. So they're all from Srimad Bhagavatam. So he explained to Bhaktivinoda Thakur how to summarize the entire Bhagavatam into these 300 shlokas, and according to the divisions of Sambandha, Avideya and Prayojan, and then also according to the explanation of Dasamula. So, by this and so many incidents of the life of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we get some insight into what kind of a person he was. He was not an ordinary person at all. He was an eternal associate of the Lord. Also in Navadvip Bhavataranga, in the final portion of the book, he explains his eternal Swarup as Kamala Manjari. And he gives a very elaborate description there of his form and the services that he performs there. So, by doing this, he has both indicated his what his actual position is, and he is also teaching us what is the process for us to advance. So, in all the books that he has written, he has given a very systematic presentation of the philosophy of Lord Chaitanya, beginning from basic concepts, like Naveen Prabhu was describing in the beginning of Jaiva Dharma. He was explaining what is the actual Swarup of the Jeev, and how the Jeev should be first established. He's also discussed in many of his books Varnashram Dharma as a platform to enter into bhakti. And then he describes bhakti beginning from Shraddha, and described elaborately what is Vaidhi Bhakti, what is Raganuga Bhakti. And especially in Jaiva Dharma, he has explained all the teachings, or the essence of all the teachings of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Ujjwal Nilmani. From approximately chapter 19 onwards, the last 20 or so chapters of the book, he has given all the essential teachings of these two books of Srila Rupa Goswami through the form of this wonderful story. And as Srila Gurudeva has explained many times, we shouldn't take it as just some novel. It is such an extraordinary book. It is the only book that we can compare it with is Brihad Bhagavatamrit in its style, because it is telling a story, but again, not as an ordinary novel, but as a series of exchanges between different Vaishnavas, and teaching all the Siddhanta through the exchanges that take place through those Vaishnavas. So, in this way, he has established all the conclusions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He has eradicated the various Sahajya groups, and also, but at the same time, established very strongly what is our actual process. Nowadays, we find that some persons, they say that we should not even mention the word Raganuga, and we should not discuss about what is Bhava Bhakti, what is Prema Bhakti, and what is the mood of the residents of Braj. We should not discuss 10th Canto Srimad Bhagavatam. So some of these ideas are being presented nowadays. But I think that persons that are presenting such ideas, that they must have never read any of the books of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Because if anyone studies any one of his books, then they have to see that all of these conclusions are in his books, beginning from basic level up to the topmost level. So he has actually taught through the method, how he has presented his books, how we are meant to follow. First by understanding all of the Siddhanta regarding Sambandha Gyan, then how to practice bhakti, what is the eligibility for Vaidhi Bhakti, what is the eligibility for Raganuga Bhakti, how to practice these things. And in so many of his books, such as Bhajan Rahasya, and in many of his song books also, he has taught in a very practical and concrete way how to practice bhajan in order that we can obtain this goal which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. So we are greatly indebted to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur for giving us all these books, for planting the seed by which the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could be spread throughout the world. If it was not for his mercy, we would not be all gathered here right now, glorifying him and receiving tremendous inspiration from his very dear follower, our Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj. So, I will stop here.